Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back to InsideTracks.co.uk, trying to give you a lot of information that can help you trade smarter. If you like this video, please do subscribe and like or comment, and that always helps me get better. So what we're going to do today is to look at the best and worst tracks for front runners. Now, as I've always been telling you, information is power. Knowing your tracks, therefore, will give you the upper hand over the average punter. And I am going to be able to tell you quite clearly, from the analysis I've done, the top tracks for front runners by distance. And some of those tracks may well surprise you. So I'll just halt there for a moment. I'll come back with those tracks for you. Okay, here's the overview spreadsheet, which looks at all the courses that I have tried to analyze and all the distance I've got enough races for. You'll see there's certain tracks there that I haven't managed to do. That's Voslas. Hasn't been enough racing there from my perspective. Redcar doesn't hold a lot of races, and Weatherby, which has just started doing flat races just recently. So those are the three that I haven't really got a lot of information on. Some of the distances also, there isn't enough information, but where I've got it, I have given it to you. Now you'll see that the numbers here represent a view on the percentage of horse races over the distance at the track that have either won from the front, one being prominent, or one being held up. And if the score was 0, then only hold up horses could have won. Of course, that doesn't happen, but you can see that there's the lowest number on the whole spreadsheet, 0.08. 3, anything down about 1 is very, very low, and 2 would be only front runners can win. And you can see one of the highest numbers here is 1.6. So that is how I've done it. And I've analysed all the different races at all different courses. And what I've done is I've split it up into the distances. Now, some courses, of course, are 5 furlongs and 10 yards and 4 furlongs and 211 yards. It's not exactly the same. But again, you get the drift. I've tried to compare similar distances with different races. Of course, I haven't taken into account going. That might be a variable within a particular horse, within a particular track. But there are too many variables that I would have to take into account to get this analysis absolutely correct. However, when you look at a race course and you see a massive difference, if we look at 5 furlongs, I'll go into the 5 furlong track. And I'll show you the track and the best and worst tracks for front runners. So let's go to 5 furlongs, and we see by far and away, well, not by far and away, but the best track for you, if you have a front runner running over 5 furlongs, is Ripon. Surprise you? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. The next best is Catterick, and the third best is Chester. Now we all know Chester quite well. Chester is a round track where if you can get out in front, then you have an advantage because the rest are running around a bend, and therefore it's like the athletics track. If you can get the inside line on an athletics track, you have an advantage of, if you're drawn in lane 1 than you do if you're drawn in lane 8. So we understand Chester pretty well, but Catterick and Ripon might surprise you. Up in there is tracks like Lingfield. Again, probably doesn't surprise some of you who are in the know. Lingfield, if your horse can get out in front on the rail, it's often incredibly difficult to beat. So there you go. There are the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks. I hope some of them don't surprise you. Some of them might well do. Now, what's the worst track for a front runner? It actually is Goodwood. Strange. I didn't think that. I thought Goodwood was quite a good track for front runners, but it's not. Doncaster is terrible, Haydock's terrible, and Brighton's not great. And then, as you can see, there are a lot down here at the bottom where really, if you've got a front runner, your chances of winning are quite low. So that is an example of how we treat it. So let's go on to 6 furlongs then, okay? So what's the best track you can have for a 6 furlong front runner? In fact, Ripon and Lingfield and Thirsk come out, and Catterick's still up there, and Chester's still up there. But look, here we start coming in with Windsor and Epsom. Did you understand? I didn't think Epsom would be in there. And what is the worst track for having a front runner? By quite some distance, Ascot. Ascot is the worst track to have a front runner in a 6 furlong event, by some distance. Quick look at 7 furlongs. There's a few race courses that run 7 furlongs. There are quite a lot that don't do 7 furlongs. But again, the difference is stark, really. If I have a front runner and I have it running at Chester or Beverley or Epsom or Thirsk, look at this difference between the index I'll get versus running a front runner over 7 furlongs at Doncaster and Ascot, where it's really almost impossible for your horse to front run and win. 1 mile, again, massive difference. Front runner at York, no, I wasn't expecting York to be up there, absolutely not. But front runner at York's certainly Ripon again. Front runner at Ripon, 1.53. Front runner down at Doncaster and Ascot, really no chance, really no chance. I'm pretty much saying to you, if you've got a front runner running at Ascot and Doncaster, you've got to factor in a major disadvantage for that horse. 1 mile 2, less race courses again. Now we see some strange stuff coming in. Windsor, Bath's in there now. And where do we go? Well, York at over 1 mile was quite a good place to front run. But suddenly over 1 mile 2, it's the worst course in the country to front run. Ascot's still there. So Ascot is really not a front runner's course. 1 mile 4, Bath. Look, Bath, why? Epsom, why? But that's the analysis. The analysis showing you that those 2 courses are the worst. Ascot's still in there. Newbury's still in there. Have a good idea why Ascot and Newbury's in there. These are race courses with wide open straights that horses can come up. Bath, my analysis of that is this: you come around a sharp bend, but then you get 2.5 furlongs going uphill, and gives the horses behind a very good chance of coming through and beating the front runner. You have to really push on from the bend and have at least 4 or 5 lengths clear to have a good chance at Bath of winning. Epsom, again, you don't see too many front-running Derby winners. They're always being overtaken from the furlong pole. There's always stack horses coming towards the end. Very, very rare to see a front-running 1 mile for 4 furlong horse at Epsom. So again, in the Derby, if you're looking at a favourite who's a front runner, then actually you can pretty much guarantee that your lay bet on that will win. And as I've told everybody, 1 mile 4, stall 1, forget it. So if you've got a stall 1 horse who's a front runner in the Derby, forget it. He's got no chance. Epsom, though, a lot better chance. Really, the standout course for 1 mile 4 furlongs is Ripon. Finally, I just grouped a whole lot of tracks that run races, and I can get enough data for over 1 mile 6 furlongs to 2 mile 2 furlongs. And you see here, massive difference again. If you've got a long distance horse and you see it's a front runner, then your trainer should be running him at Chester or Salisbury. Not at Chepstow, not at Sandown, not at Pontefract, and not at Doncaster, not even at Yarmouth. In fact, not anywhere else, maybe Ayr, possibly. So, again, long-distance horses, rarely do you see front-running winners in these courses down here. Much better to send a front-running horse out at somewhere like Chester. And we've seen that, actually, on quite a few occasions. We've seen Ryan Moore taking a horse out in front at Chester. We've seen Sylvester de Souza doing the same, taking a long-distance runner out in front. because he's taking the inside track on Chester. Chester's 1 mile tight track where going around the inside, you can save yourself a lot of distance. And so that's what they do. Salisbury, I think it's to do with the figure of 8, but I'm not sure. Okay, so there you go. Overall, have a look at this. I'm going to put this spreadsheet up on insidetracks.co.uk, and you can download it and therefore have it as part of your arsenal when you're doing your analysis and when you're picking your winners and when you're doing your trading, and understand what's going on. But you can see also one of the factors here is that obviously, and it's probably doesn't need me pointing out, but clearly the average in terms of front runners is highest over the shorter distances and lowest over the longer distances. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense that a front runner in a sprint has more chance of staying out in front than a long distance horse who has to plod on and plod on and plod on and take all the weight of being in the front, has to get the pace right, etc., etc. So you know, it's like being in the peloton, isn't it, for racing bicycles? If you are in the peloton where you're being dragged along by those guys in front of you, then you've got a much better chance of overtaking them in the final stretch. Whereas in a sprint, if you can get out in front and stay out in front, then you've got a better chance. So it's not surprising that we're seeing sort of the 1.5s, 1.6s in here, and we don't see anything like that down in these longer distances. And that's why places like Ripon over 1 mile 4 stands out, why Salisbury and Chester over the longer distances stand out so much, is because this is unusual. We see 1 mile 3 here. Can you see this 1 mile 3? Look at Newbury. Newbury, it's, you know, you virtually forget it. If you've got a front running horse at Newbury over 1 mile 3, forget it. Not going to win. Really, really. I mean, it'd have to be an amazing run, and by far and away the best horse in the race for that horse to win. And you can see there are certain tracks which really don't favour front runners. Newbury being one of them. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4 pink marks against it. Ascot, probably the least friendly track in the country to front runners. Doncaster, also very, very unfriendly to front runners. So you can see that there are certain tracks where front runners really have very, very little chance of winning. Certain distances where there's a major, major difference between being a front runner at one course versus being a front runner at another. So guys, if you I hope you learned something there. I mean, I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs, but that's the analysis, and it's thrown up a few surprises for me, actually, which I pointed out to you. Some of them I can completely understand. The Chesters of this world I can understand. And I suppose I can understand the Ascots and the Doncasters because they're big, wide open tracks. They're good for horses to take a toe and have plenty of time to get themselves settled, have plenty of time to take aim at the front runner. And the front runner is out there doing all the hard work while they just get a toe into the race and then pull out and overtake in the last furlong. So, however, I think there were some interesting facts in there, and certainly, you know, treat it as an important factor if you are looking at a race. I'm sure you will analyse your races quite carefully. I like to do back to lays. Back to lays means that you want a track and a distance where your horse has the best chance of getting out in front because it likes to front run, and then staying there because it's on a track that suits it. So if you sign up to my newsletter, you'll see the other day I refused to give a back to lay tip because the races were all being run at tracks with highly unfavourable factors for front runners. So why would I give you a tip which told you that the front runner had pretty much no chance of winning? What I like to do is give back to lays where I know the horse is going to get out in front with shortening price, And often I give you advice to say, well, look, then lay off your stake, and hopefully that horse will stay out in front and win, and you'll get a nice payday. So there's different ways to back to lay. You can back to lay to make a certain percentage return on your money. You can back to lay to trade off your stake in running and take the profit that remains. But I won't give you a back to lay tip if I think that the horse has no chance of winning. So if you signed up for my newsletter, which you can by going to insidetracks.co.uk, it's all free, by the way. But if you do, I take this sort of information into account, and hopefully you will too. And again, if you like favourites and so on, there's videos about where the tracks that suit favourites. But bring all that information together. Bring it all together. This track, we're in a stakes race, therefore the favourite will be favoured in a stakes race. Here we have a front runner, and the front runner is favoured in this particular on this particular track. And then the drawer and so on you'll take into account, and the going, and finally you'll come to a conclusion that says, yeah, all these things are in that horse's favour, therefore I can trade this horse with some confidence. Okay, I hope that has been useful. If it has, and you like these videos, please subscribe and like. Comment if you think some of the stuff that I'm talking about is not correct, or that there's something I'm missing and that I should be looking at. I wish you all the very best with your trading, and please do give me some feedback if you have it. Cheers, bye.